Hi, I'm Kevin Kuchenbecker, Historic Preservation Officer for the City of Deadwood, and this is a moment in Deadwood's history. We're back again at the Archaeological Exploration and Investigation here at Tin Lizzie's parking lot for the new 4 Points by Sheridan hotel that Live Hospitality is putting together. And of course, we've already talked many times that we require archaeology. We have a special guest in from Maryland today. And could you introduce yourself?
Sure, yes.
My
name is Francis Lukezic, and I'm a conservator specializing in archaeological artifacts from the Maryland Archaeological Conservation Laboratory. So I'm here helping with the recovery of the organic finds such as the basket and the wood flume.
And then we also have Jana Morehouse, with the principal investigator with the Quality Services. So today was kind of exciting for us today. Just moments ago, we took something out of the ground here that we've been walking around for quite some time. Can you talk a little bit about what we just did?
Oh, sure.
I'll talk about where it's from first, and then you can talk about how we actually got it out of the ground, probably.
Great. Yeah, sounds
good. We started uncovering part of a feature, which is an archaeological structure, basically in this case. It was part of the wooden floor. And once one of my archaeologists was digging, he noticed that there was some basket or woven reeds sticking out. And so right away, we knew that that was something special. It's not something you find very well preserved. And a woven basket can tell you a lot of information. There could be something like food remains in the basket. And so it was really important that we find somebody who is an expert in order to get it out safely so that it can be conserved.
And that's where Mike Runge reached out to a partner, and we talked about partners yesterday. The Maryland Archaeological Conservation Laboratory out in Maryland has done a lot of work for us. So
yes.
You flew in last night.
I did.
Are you having fun?
Oh, I am. It is so exciting to be in Deadwood after conserving so many artifacts for you all. Like all the Chinese coins and the water pipe and the car axle. So it's quite nice to actually come out here to get to meet and work with everyone in person and see where all the artifacts have come from.
And so those artifacts were from the 2001 to 2004 archaeological dig in Chinatown across the street from where we're at. But we're going to be sending this basket out with you.
Yes.
Out to the laboratory, and you're going to start to do some conservation methods. First, let's talk about how we got it out of the ground, and then let's talk a little bit about what you're going to do with that when you get it in Maryland.
Oh, sure.
And then we have a special treat. We're going to show you some more artifacts.
Right. So one of the reason, or the reason why the basketry, made out of an organic material, survived was the type of clay that it was in. It was very dense and wet, which created an environment with no oxygen, so you didn't have anything trying to eat it and cause deterioration. So that's why there's excellent preservation of the basket. And so what we did was we had to do dig a trench around it, and then we wrapped it with like medical bandages,
yeah,
the stretchy medical bandages. So that
regular gauze that you would find. Ace bandages. Thank you to the rec center for sharing
thank you.
today.
Came to the rescue.
Yeah.
And once we had enough of the soil removed, we just wrapped the soil matrix that contained the basket multiple times with the bandages. And after that, we used a lot of wooden shims underneath and just started pounding wooden shims in all the way around. As much as we could, and then a shovel and a plywood board at hand, and we used the shovel under the shims to help ease up that block. And we're basically, as we lifted with the shovel, the plywood board was shoved under the whole thing, and eventually we got it onto the board and
out of the trench here.
Out of the trench,
and again, we'll be preparing that for shipment out to Maryland, where they'll clean it up, and we'll start to discover what's inside of it. It could be food, it could be seeds, it could be a variety of things inside of it. It was full.
It was full. So Yeah, by taking that whole, doing a block lift with the basket in it, it's going to go back to the lab in Maryland where I'll have more controlled conditions, so I can carefully remove the soil and clean the basketry as I remove the soil, and also be on the lookout for any other, organic materials or artifacts that could be contained within.
And then this also was in, I don't know what you call it, a matrix. This feature included what appears to be another basket, but also nearby was, and we'll get to some of the artifacts. This has a woven, describe this for me. It's cool.
Yeah, so so this, I'm going to turn it really quick here, Kevin, just a little so people can see. This is the top of a very large jug. We assume, based on its size, it probably held 3 or 4 gallons of liquid. And as everyone knows, those even a jug of milk, 1 gallon, is very heavy. And so what they did is they tied these ropes on it so they could actually use these to help pour, and it was controlled pouring. And so it's amazing to still find pieces of it. Yeah. And there's also pieces on the outside, that Kevin was pointing to, that are woven, probably a basket, again, to help, keep it in place. So
lots of things dealing with food and eating and kind of the day-to-day life.
Yeah.
This morning we found a toothbrush.
Yes.
Which was really cool. This wasn't necessarily this morning, but this is a cool bottle. What is it?
Yeah, so this is a beer bottle, and if we can zoom in a little bit, hopefully we can see some of these. Mike Runge actually posted a picture of this on the Deadwood Historic Preservation site
Facebook,
last week.
Please like us.
Yep. And when we actually started, we found this in the fill material, so it wasn't really in any place, but you can tell it's actually a beer bottle. It looks like a beer bottle. When we cleaned it back at the office, we realized there was lettering on the bottom. We all assumed at first it was Chinese, but we were able to have it translated, and it's Japanese, not Chinese. And so what it says the beer company name, and it says Greatest Beer Company on it, the Daya Nippon Beer Company.
So we got water, we got beer, food in a basket. We got a puzzle here. This is it is a complete.
It's a complete bowl, yep, just with the bottom broken out a little bit. It's a ceramic bowl.
So we'll be able to put this back together and it'll be complete.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
This is a neat piece.
This should look familiar to many people here. This is a piece of a chopstick. And so it is very well preserved. We talked with Francis about how to keep it more preserved, so we're keeping it wet because it's wood, so it will dry out very quickly, and because it's so small, it will splinter very easily. But this is a very, very good example of chopsticks.
And when it comes back from Maryland, after Francis is done with it, I'll have to use white gloves.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Oh,
someone asked us that.
Clean hands.
I think we showed these before, Chinese coins. Which we found several of those. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the opium. Today we found 2 single-dose opium bottles.
Yep.
And this is one of, 2 of many that we found.
Yeah, I think we're up to maybe 7 of these now, around the entire 40-meter trench that we have. So. And
with opium, you got to do an antidote, right?
Just in case.
Just in case. And this...
This is one of 3 boxes we have, and it's squished, so this would have been the end of it here. You can see this part. Yeah. It is still fairly fragile, but we cleaned it off so that it shows up better. Here's the back, you can see really well. So this would have held the antidote in case somebody overdosed with opium.
And finally, just kind of talk about next to the basket, and in this area, the water, the basket, we also found I don't know if this is Francis's friend or Jana's.
Yes, both.
But it's a hog skull or a pig skull. You can see the teeth on the bottom, and there was 3 of them in this area.
3 skulls, yeah. 3. Yeah, we found 3 skulls so far. Throughout the entire project, again, we're finding all kinds of faunal. These are called faunal remains, so bones are called faunal remains. We found some cats. We have other bird bones. But the pig skulls are kind of the best ones we've seen, and this is the third complete one, and you can tell it's a pig just by the teeth more than anything. So they're not flat, they're pointy, and so that will, and because this guy in front, this is another tooth up here.
And I have the privilege of removing this today as part of the...
Kevin was our assistant today. He did very well with the trowel.
Yes.
So, Jana, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure working with Quality Services. Francis, thank you for coming out to Deadwood.
Yes, thank you.
Tomorrow, we got Francis busy tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow?
Oh, so tomorrow we're going to lift the wood feature, the wooden flume. So that's
going to be heavy.
Heavy.
There could be a chainsaw involved. So we'll see.
We're using the methods, and we're obviously conserving this, and hopefully it'll be on display at one of our wonderful museums here in Deadwood, South Dakota. And that's a wrap.